Okay, we're going to try to have one conversation at a time. If we could do that, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. I'm going to call this meeting to order. It's 10 o'clock. The proceedings of this meeting will be recorded and made available on the internet. I would like to call to our clerk, Jesse Clark. Please call the roll. Or Bianca.
Mayor Lambs, are you present?
I am present.
Deputy Mayor Armstrong?
Present.
Councillor Braybrook?
Present.
Councillor Cadigan?
Present.
And Councillor Brandon?
Present. Thank you very much. Did you want to acknowledge staff as well, or?
We have Donna Taggart, CIO Treasurer. Present. Bianca Dragicevic, Deputy Clerk. Present. Amber Novak, Legislative Coordinator, Executive Assistant to the CIO. Present. And Jesse Clark, Director of Corporate Services.
Thank you very much. Okay, we move on to item 1.3 of our agenda, which is land acknowledgements and moments of reflection. We respectfully acknowledge that Trent Lakes and Peterborough County are located on the Treaty 20 Mississauga territory and in the traditional territory of the Mississauga and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaty First Nation, which include Alderville, Beausoleil, Curve Lake, Georgina Island, Hiawatha, Rama, and Scugog Island First Nation. Trent Lakes respectively acknowledges that the Williams Treaty First Nations are the stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. We will now take a moment to reflect on these principles and our duties and responsibilities as members of council. Thank you. Come on and sit down. Okay, we can move on to item 2 of our agenda, which is disclosure of pecuniary interest. If anyone on council has a pecuniary interest on any item on the agenda, please disclose it now or anytime during the meeting prior to speaking on anything on the item you have a pecuniary interest in. Let's see, no hand. We can move on to item 3 of our agenda, which is the approval of the agenda. I see Deputy Mayor Armstrong for a mover, Councillor Franzen for a seconder. I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion has carried. Now we can move on to section 4 of our agenda, which is staff reports. We're going to try to keep this reasonably short, and we have Donna Taggart, our CAO Treasurer. Can you speak to this item? Please come and stand on the blue X. I forgot to mention. I feel like we could be in some sort of a TV show or something. Go ahead, Donna.
All right, thank you. Thank you, and through you, Mayor Lambshead. So I wanted to welcome everyone. Thank you for coming today. Just to note that the presentation today was created through collaboration of staff and all departments, and I appreciate this collaboration. So I also wanted to recognize Jesse, Bianca, and Amber for their attendance and also their work in setting this meeting up. The plan is to keep the staff portion of this presentation brief in order to allow for the public interaction directly with council as requested. So the first slide, we're going to talk about strategic goals. So this slide reflects the strategic goals recently adopted by council May 2nd, 2023, after a review conducted by McSweeney and Associates. Many of the questions received through the survey fit nicely into these newly adopted goals. So can everyone hear me okay?
It would be great if you could if you had a microphone. Because your back is toward.
Yeah, I can't hear. Do you want to stand over here?
You could turn around and
Can I?
I think we've heard this before, so you could stand anywhere you'd like.
Yeah.
Face.
Take a load off your feet.
My chair.
Perfect.
I can feel it.
All right, so departments and services. The important services provided by the municipality are undertaken by many departments, and this slide provides a high-level summary for your reference. The municipality has 2 water systems at Alpine Pirates Glen and Buckland Lake Estates with 318 users, and all the costs of these systems are paid for by those that have direct access to the water. So the agenda today, so the presentation being shared was prepared by staff in response to the release of a ratepayer and a community association survey. The release of this survey was directed by council at the June 6th meeting, and there were 42 responses received. The direction to staff was to consult with ratepayers and associations regarding the format and objectives of the annual meeting, and the presentation is meant to respond to as many of the feedback received as possible. So as mentioned, the agenda for this presentation was created based on the results of the survey, and the most requested topics are listed there for you. Those include short-term rentals, an update on approved plans, building and planning, environment, fire, roads and waste, committees, and taxes and services. There were requests outside of the municipality's area of responsibility, and there's a slide near the end of the presentation for that. So our first one is short-term rentals, and that was the most requested item that we received through the survey. So at the March 8th, 2022 meeting, Council approved the recommendations of the short-term rental working group for a phased-in approach in dealing with short-term rentals. To date, phase 1 and 2 recommendations have been completed, which included a good neighbor mail out to all ratepayers, tracking of complaints with calls and warning letters for repeat offenders, and the implementation of an administrative monetary penalty system known as AMPS for nuisance, noise, open air burning, fireworks, and now animal control. The municipality has also hired Maxima Security on a 2-month trial for additional bylaw enforcement during evenings and after hours. For July and August, Maxima spent about 40 hours responding to calls in Trent Lakes over after hours and during the weekend. So the final phase 3 of the working group recommendations includes the creation of a draft short-term rental licensing bylaw for council consideration in 2024. And we also have been directed to include budget and staffing resources required for licensing. I can pass along, we have had 2 short-term rental working group meetings. It has reconvened. And these meetings have resulted in really productive discussions on key elements of a licensing program, which will ultimately be included in a draft licensing bylaw for council consideration. So our next slide is the AMPS. I just thought I'd provide an overview of this program. So the key actions are listed there for you under the enforcement of the AMPS system, and there's associated penalties with all of those. To date, there have been 2 penalty notices written under animal control, actually. And the benefit of AMPS is that if a penalty is not paid, or if a request for a review for a screening officer is not made within 15 days, a penalty can be applied and amounts can be added directly to the tax roll. The municipality's website has been updated to include a straightforward process on how to file a bylaw complaint. So we thought we'd talk next on an update on the approved plan. So this slide provides an update on the completed 2023 initiatives under the approved community strategic plan. And those include implementation of the short-term rental licensing plan, phase 1 and 2, committee restructuring review, purchasing policy review, 4 council meetings scheduled for September 28th, 2023 for Trent Lake, Selwyn Township, Curve Lake, and North Kawartha. And a volunteer management policy update was provided to council, and that implementation is still ongoing for that policy. So work's still underway for 2023. We're still working on the creation of some clear policies and procedures for the building and planning processes, creation of consistent and clear development for policies for residents and businesses. A service level review is underway for the fire department. I know that has been completed and is coming shortly. The creation of an environmental advisory committee for stewardship. And yeah, so that is still ongoing for 2023 under that plan. So the next is the Economic Development, Tourism and Recovery Strategic Plan, and that was adopted by Council January 17th, 2023. So far, the same 4 council meeting has been scheduled. Staff attended the 2023 EDO roundtable, a couple of those actually held by Peterborough and the Kawarthas Economic Development, and attended council and staff attended Community Economic Development 101 by OMAFRA. Staff attended EORN meetings supporting the development of internet towers, and once again, the creation of the community strategic plan. So work underway, the creation of an external communication strategy, which actually has now been released for public feedback. and partnering with the Peterborough County to apply for, to create a mobility hub in Buckhorn, which would serve as a possible bus stop for the expansion of the link, creation of a new CIP or community improvement plan, searching and applying for grants, which we're looking for all the time, to complete tasks under, for consulting services under this plan. So yeah, all of that is still underway. So for the open spaces plan, which was passed or adopted by council March 21st, 2023, we, so far staff have installed boat signage at the municipal boat launches, and work is still underway drafting an implementation plan to be brought to council for 2024 budget cycle. So the facilities plan. So completed so far, there was a structural review completed of the Buckhorn Depot Fire Hall facility and a partial structural review of the current 49 depot. There was a shared use study completed, which recommended recreation of facilities share space in the new dedicated mechanic facility. Design and tender preparation was completed for a dedicated mechanic and recreation facilities building at the 49 site, based on a reduced building size and some cost savings. And we have now awarded the tender to build the new dedicated mechanic recreation and facilities building to MVW Construction and Engineering, and awarded the tender for contract administration and site inspection services to Greer Galloway. So the project costs approved are $9,353,650. And this is to be, and also there's a contingency amount built in, and it's to be funded from a construction loan through Infrastructure Ontario. So work's still underway. The request for proposal for design and contract administration for a new joint facility for public works and the fire hall or fire staff in Buckhorn, and that has now been posted. And still a full structural review of the current 49 depot to determine the future use. So what's in the future for facilities? There's the Buckhorn Depot Fire Hall facility is planned for 2024. There's design, tender, and contract administration for a new joint Cavendish Public Works and Fire facility planned for 2025. And construction of that facility is planned for 2026, and design, tender, and contract administration documents for a new joint public or Galway Public Works building and fire is planned for 2027, and construction of that facility 2028. So approval of design drawings for the joint fire public works building in Buckhorn was part of the 2023 budget, and the plan is to obtain the most up-to-date costing for this build. It goes without saying that construction costs are up, and the use of debt as allowed under the municipality's long-term debt policy will be part of these builds. There is currently 1.1 million that already has been raised for that facility for the fire component of that structure in Buckhorn. And also we have the ability to use $197,000 worth of development charges and some gas tax funding for that build as well. So we're going to talk about building and planning next. So the survey feedback received related to easier ways to deal with severances, rezoning, and minor variances prompted this slide to provide best practices when applying for permits. It is important that when applying for permits, all the necessary documents required are included with your application, and the municipality's website lists all of these requirements for each type of permit, and staff are also always here to help. Pre-consultation meetings with planning staff are required for minor variances and rezoning, and these meetings allow staff to relay as many details as possible to address all requirements at the beginning of the process. And we're going to talk a bit about development concerns. So we did receive some feedback relating to concerns about overdevelopment on lakes and building without proper permits and approvals. The official plan contains details to deal with highly sensitive and moderately sensitive lake trout lakes, resulting in new lots either being prohibited or the requirement of site-specific lake impact assessment to demonstrate that the lake is capable of supporting the proposed development. The zoning bylaw does allow for additions to existing dwellings and replacement dwellings in compliance with certain regulations, but anything greater than this would require additional planning approval. So building without permits or approvals can result in doubling of the permit fees and also orders registered against the property. Once again, building and planning staff are always here to assist and provide information for you on any development. So there was feedback received relating to environmental concerns. So concerns put forward were about waterfront health, shoreline protection, fertilizers and pesticides, climate change, and invasive species. As directed by council, terms of reference are being created by our corporate services department for an environmental advisory committee. The terms of reference will be drafted for the committee to address these types of issues should council proceed with establishing the committee. So questions on fire, roads, and waste. So the municipality has approximately 440 fire routes. Fire routes are privately owned, with maintenance being the responsibility of the property owners on the fire route. Questions received relating to fire bans and how they are declared really involve several factors, including weather, staffing, resources, and the MNRF, as Trent Lakes is in an MNRF fire zone. Trent Lakes has some of the strictest burning bylaws in the county, which serves as a preventative measure for emergencies. Trent Lakes Fire and Rescue do ask all residents to prepare for a 72-hour with a 72-hour emergency kit, and there is a link to what's included in that for you. And there are currently about 60 volunteer firefighters in Trent Lakes, and we have ongoing recruitment. So a bit about roads. So questions are received about the level of service of municipal roads, and there is a level of service policy for snow removal, and the municipality exceeds these levels. Any increases in service levels would require more budget money for additional equipment and manpower due to the sheer size of the municipality. Feel free, if you have any specific concerns about roads, cloud, to give us a call. We are always happy to investigate and address any of your concerns. So to answer questions received about road safety, staff continue to monitor and will implement road safety devices as warranted. Due to road classification, which is determined by the speed limit and average daily traffic, roads do not require traffic markings. Limiting heavy trucks on all municipal roads would hinder the ability for certain businesses to operate, and they are currently limited during half-load seasons to protect the road base. So the municipality's Black Cat can be used on municipal roads only, and this device collects speed data. At the request of the Police Services Board, the county advised that they would be installing the ATR counter at the Cavendish transfer station to collect data on the 507. And this data will be shared with the municipality once it's received. And of course, we'll pass that along. So under waste, we've provided some information on the new blue box regulation, which is the province has implemented a new blue box regulation changing to producer responsibility. And the transition happens January 1, 2024. There's currently no curbside pickup. There'll be no change for Trent Lakes residents, but we do get requests periodically for this curbside pickup for Trent Lakes, but due to the geography and number of fire routes within the municipality, there are currently no plans to implement curbside collection. And the transfer station sites, just to let you know, the certificate of approval amendment applications have been filed several times over the years to improve efficiency and collection at those sites. And when addressing feedback received about keeping transfer station open 7 days a week, at this time, current traffic levels at the transfer station do not warrant the sites to be open 7 days a week, but we always are monitoring service levels and reviewing them for efficiency. So the committee structure review was completed by staff, and council is looking to establish a heritage advisory committee and an environmental and climate change advisory committee. Further reports from staff are being prepared, which will include proposed terms of reference in anticipation that the establishment and recruitment will begin at the end of the year. and the EDAC and PRCAC will be revisited in early 2024 by council. So we thought we'd talk a bit about taxes and services. To address the survey feedback related to taxes and services, staff thought it would be helpful to show the split for every dollar collected between the lower tier, so the municipality, the upper tier, the county, and the school board for education. As you will see, the municipality keeps 43 cents of every property tax dollar collected, 39 cents goes to the county, and 18 cents to the school boards for education. So the average 2023 MPAC assessed value in Trent Lakes for a single family detached on the water, and a seasonal dwelling is $405,636.40 for 2023. So that would result in about $1,608.86 being paid by the average property tax owner to Trent Lakes directly. And we just have this slide and the next slide really give you a high level overview of how much of that average amount paid would go to each department and what those amounts cover. So as mentioned, staff received various comments on the survey that related to services that are provided by external agencies. And this slide provides a resource for residents to contact those agencies. This is the contact information, obviously, for Trent Lakes, and staff are always available by phone, email, or visiting the municipal office to offer assistance, answer questions, or direct ratepayers to the right agency. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Very informative. When you see the numbers of where your taxes go, you do understand where a lot of money goes. Okay, we can move now on to item 5 of our agenda, which is delegations. Would anyone like to speak to council? Go ahead, Janet Clarkson. Please stand on the blue X on the floor.
Can I walk there?
I don't think
Or
you
just
can
turn
because
around.
the owl.
Or just
you
turn
can just
around.
turn around, yeah.
Just turn around. Turn around. Okay, through mayor and council, and after listening to all this, I know why I retired. I'm here to speak about heritage, specifically the old school that's up on 36. This is preliminary because I'll be making another delegation in November. So we're going to ask the township to keep this building and do necessary repairs for its use. Now, some of the staff and council have already taken a look at this. Submit ideas for future use other than just heritage. Storing and archiving historical documents. This is a community that we should all be very, very proud of, and the majority of our documents are stored in people's attics or anywhere that people can get a hold of. The people who are elderly who live in this community are fast leaving this community, and I mean, we know how. So we need to keep these things now while there's some living memory attached to them. Start to build a small museum. We have again items that are being stored all over the place. Development of the surrounding land for trails to connect with Tekasi Ranch. They're more than willing to participate in this. They're right across the road. Most of their trails have already been developed. There is an old sugar shack that's down off the Stockdale property. Originally, that sugar shack was the original homestead for the Stockdale property. When they built their own home, they moved the sugar shack down there. Now, this was not your typical sugar shack. It's squared off timbers. It's all caulked. Chinked.
Yeah.
It's in beautiful shape. It's on a cement pad. It can be moved to the site of the old school. That can be then interactive. Connect with community gardens. There's enough space there to actually provide a nice flat community garden. The soil there is good. Fund this building the same as the library. It's a service building. It deserves to be funded the same as any other building. In closing, recognize the importance of acknowledging and storing our historical legacy. We are behind the times in this field. We're travelers, as most of you are, and pretty much everywhere you go, you've got your small museums. We don't have them. For instance, the Greater Historical Society in Galway is not properly funded. But this charter will allow the old school to smoothly operate, so we don't have to go through the rechartering. Barb Kane, who is the head of the Galway Historical Society, has kindly offered to mentor us. Pam Dickey, who is presently an active member, will move to this location. Several people are willing to help volunteer to keep it open for visitors and locals. We will ask Barb to speak to their experience. Brian Cruz from Tecumseh Ranch will also come and talk about where they are willing to step in and help. In closing, this is an opportunity we should not miss. I know from my work at the locks in the summertime that the amount of interest in this area, both from a visitor and a local segment, is surprising. We have many newcomers in our area, and this is one way to give them a sense of the history of the community that they have chosen to make their new home. Thank you for your time, and I will take questions.
Thank you very much, Janet. Yes, there is a process in place to get information from any ratepayers or groups to see what ideas we have for the Deer Bay School. So I think in November, I'm looking forward to your presentation and whoever comes with you. It's a great ideas. I mean, we don't want to lose our heritage. We don't know where we came from. We don't know where we were. Yeah, anyone have any questions? Go ahead.
I'm Karen Shear from Cattle, and I was just wondering, there was in the open spaces plan, there's I think a bicycle route or a trail that goes, does it go to that building, Janet? Do you know?
Please try to go through the, Janet, please try to go through the chair.
Okay.
That's still a council meeting, so we should be going through the chair.
Oh, okay.
But that's fine. I mean.
Anyway, I just thought it would be really nice if there's a plan for that to include perhaps tie it in with the open spaces plan and have a bicycle trail going to the museum.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great idea. I mean, Tecumseh Ranch does have, I forget how many kilometers of bike trails. It's a lot. That is right next door to that, and I think they're interested in connecting to that. I think it's like 27 kilometers. I believe that may be an error, but so it's an amazing amount of trails already in place right in that area. So it does fit together. Go ahead, speak. Please state your name.
I'm not clear as to where the location of this is.
Okay, it's just east of Buckhorn on County Road 36.
Okay.
Yeah, just a few kilometers east, not very many, I think maybe 5 or 6. It's the old Deer Bay School. I don't know if you know where that is or not. I guess not. Obviously, yeah. It's just past the transfer station a little ways on the.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions about that topic? Go ahead.
My name is Peter Batchuk, but the question I have is on short-term rentals. Is it
Okay, maybe we can get you to come to the blue. If we're changing the topic, we can come to the blue X.
Oh, sorry.
Our little
Am I being
owl.
premature?
No, we're here, it's open, and we can talk about anything. It's you're bringing a presentation. So.
All right. I'm wondering if the intent of the short-term rentals is to be self-funding. In other words, will all the costs be borne by the people who are having the short-term rentals and not by the balance of the ratepayers who don't?
That's a very good question. I don't know that it would be self-funding in the beginning because we're going to have to probably hire staff, but I don't know if our treasurer would want to speak to that or not. I don't think so. I don't think we're prepared for that. Go ahead.
My name's Ashley. I also have a question about the short-term rentals.
Please come to
You
the blue
mentioned
X.
that the AMPS system would put the after the 15 days,
Yes.
they don't dispute the offense, it would put the charge onto the property tax. If that is a rental, for example, now within those 15 days, is the owner notified of that offense, or is him or her just tacked on this tax without even knowing that the offense existed?
I'm assuming that the person that was contacted would be the owner.
Not necessarily.
That's why when you're, go ahead, Carol might want
I was just saying, yes, of course, there would be a notice to that person. And there's also a process well before it goes onto the tax roll. So there's an opportunity to appeal. If it's not paid, we follow up. So the whole thing, and I'm not clear on exactly the time frame, but it's probably 45 days to 60 days before we actually would go ahead and put it on the tax.
At what point is the homeowner notified?
In the very beginning.
Yeah,
At
right.
the very
In the
beginning,
very
the offense is issued.
Because
Absolutely.
it's that roll number, that address is what the offense is taking place at.
Okay.
And if I could just add to the earlier question, we have The committee, as Donna had mentioned, as our CAO had mentioned, has met twice. And one of the actions out of the latest meeting was to prepare a draft budget of what it would cost under certain scenarios, because we don't know exactly, but option A, option B, option C, what would it cost? And would we in fact be able to self-fund it? So we're just looking at that right now. As the mayor said, the first year may not be fully self-funding, but the intent is on an ongoing basis to make it sustainable. It will be self-funding.
Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone else prefer to make a delegation to council? Any question? Pretty quiet group today. Go ahead, Gary.
So Gary Jaros from the Cavendish Community Ratepayers Association. Question I have is we've made tremendous progress from a diversion rate at all of our transfer sites. I know we had a pilot go with the food cycler, and then we had another pilot follow on. What are the plans to kind of increase the amount of organics recycling? Because, again, that's still the heaviest of everything that comes out of the transfer sites, and we pay by weight. So can you just give us a little bit more information on what the plans are, what staff is looking at in terms of moving forward on that point?
I can speak a little bit to that. The county of Peterborough is trying to get a larger organics recycling depot at the Vital Road. It's a long process. It's taking many approvals, but they would be able to, we're restricted now at so many tons that we can send to them. So if we collect it, we can't send it to Peterborough. So it's difficult for us to collect more than what we are right now. But when Peterborough gets up and running, I think we'll be able to send more there so we can collect more then. Because right now we're kind of maxed out with what we can send to Vital Road for our source separated organics. Hopefully we can do more. Any other questions?
Yes, Wayne Hagsman from Pigeon Lake Resort. This summer with the fire ban, it became evident that our bylaws are lacking for places such far as other municipalities have caveats for resorts, campgrounds, etc. Current bylaws only allow one fire per property, and so I'm just asking when those bylaws are going to be updated and who's going to have the input, etc., etc.
Thank you for that question. I think we're looking at bylaws, but did we not just do a fire bylaw? I think we just updated that, but that's something that we can absolutely look at. I mean, you're a resort with how many sites?
We have 20 cottages.
Yeah, so that kind of makes it difficult, doesn't it? Okay, well, thank you for that question. We'll talk to our fire chief and staff and see if we can get some changes to that. It doesn't seem very fair that you can only have one fire on your entire property when you have 20 sites. I do understand that. Okay. Good, Carol.
Maybe just to add to that, when we introduced the AMP system, we put fireworks and fire under that. However, the chief has requested the opportunity to do a complete review of that bylaw in, I believe, October. So that is on the schedule. And so we'll bring that question forward on your behalf. It's a good one. Thank you.
And there's many other resorts that'll have the same thing.
Yes, right. Is there going to be opportunity for input to that, or is that just going to be done in-house by the fire department?
I think we can ask for input. I think that we'll talk to our fire chief and see what his plans are. I would assume you'll have some public input, mostly from businesses, because that's who that sort of thing would certainly relate to. But yeah, sure. I think we should have some public input. So we'll talk to Chief Brockbank and make sure that happens. Go ahead.
Through you, Mayor. I know we've had many conversations, Wayne, when the fire ban was in, and I did follow up with Chief Brockbank. So as to the deputy mayor's comments, it will be addressed in October. And specifically to your point, as far as trying to delineate between resorts and whatnot, and trying to work some sort of bylaw that addresses not only yours, but I think we have over 20 resort type properties in the municipality. So yeah, it is important, and I appreciate your input as well. So thank you.
Yeah, I think that historically, I think that's the longest fire ban we've ever had in this part of Ontario. So it was difficult for many people. Go ahead, come to the Blue Accent speak.
Gord Clemens from Harvey Lakes area. It's about short-term rentals. We have an increasing number of Airbnbs coming into our area. It's I guess it was initially.
I just want to caution you, just call them short-term rentals at this time because they're probably not all that brand name.
Well, I'm talking about Airbnbs directly. Like we have short-term rentals. I don't have as much. We don't have as much of a problem with. Okay. But the Airbnbs we have, because one of the problems is they're not accountable. They don't have any kind of accountability. They rent their places out to renters, and they say if there's a problem, contact the municipality. So I'm just wondering what kind of accountability that the Trent Lakes has in place for them now that the temporary bylaw officer is gone and licensing doesn't take place till 2024. Is there something that can be done in those kind of situations?
I think that gets covered kind of under our AMPS program until we get our licensing. So if there are infractions and someone goes there and there was an infraction, the landowner, the property owner will get a fine. And they have to go through the whole. Our AMPS program is in place right now. Yes.
Oh, okay.
So and that's why on their website, the process for that is on our website. So you can go on there, make a complaint, and it gets followed up on. And if they don't do something about it, the fine will be administered and they have a chance to appeal, which is a necessary part of all of that. And then the fine will go directly on the taxes if it's not paid.
Thanks very much for that.
It's a start.
Yeah.
I have one more question. I know that there's a growing, and it's out of this municipality's scope, but there's a growing number of doctors retiring, especially in the area. And is there any incentive programs that we can offer under the municipality to attract the healthcare that we need because of the aging population, and there's just simply not enough people to serve our community anymore?
That is a huge problem we have in this province right now, which is hopefully being helped by the provincial government soon, as we're going to try to make it much more easy for the people that are here right now, that are doctors, nurses, and nurse practitioners, to get into their proper field. I mean, there's lots of discussion with the College of Physicians to make this process a lot more user-friendly, and the province is leading that, and hopefully that does happen. Incentives, it's kind of technically illegal for a municipality to bonus a business or a company. It happens now all over Ontario, and it's happening everywhere. Like so.
I don't mean in a bonus type situation. I mean, if they situated here, they would be provided housing or why not in terms of the doctors.
Yeah, and that's kind of like a bonus, right? So that's.
I'm sure there's different ways around it. I know that Vaughan.
Rest assured, there's many townships that are doing that.
Yeah.
If you look at Asheville, Norwood right now, their entire facility will be funded by Asheville, Norwood. They just got 3 doctors because of that. Mm-hmm. So things have to change in Ontario, and we know they do, and we're hoping that the provincial government will step up to the plate and help us. So that's our hope. And I see Jen.
Through you, I did speak to a recruiter in County Peterborough, and they do recruit on our behalf. So if that's something you're interested, you should get a hold of the county, because they do apparently recruit on our behalf here in the athletics. Okay. Can I just say?
Yeah, go ahead.
Janet Klein, North Pigeon Lake Association. So we still do have a lot of members in our association that are really concerned of heavy trucks on the road due to safety, due to damage, infrastructure. So I know there was a blanket statement up there about businesses, but I just didn't know if it would still be discussed. I mean, when you look, all you have to do is Google it on the internet. There's a lot of cities that have heavy truck bylaws, and I mean, and they exempt things like ambulances, temporary deliveries, grandfather perhaps businesses that are already in business. So I'm just hoping it's something that you still may consider. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Through you, Mayor. For anybody who's interested in recruitment, Buckhorn's pretty ideal because it is turnkey. So we have that incentive to start with. When the doctor walks in there, everything is paid for them except their own nurse or whatever. As far as the township, because we all know right now we're losing one of our doctors. So as far as the township's recruiting, if the information went out broadly, we have semi-retired physicians in this municipality. And the Buckhorn facility is run on a part-time basis for the doctors. So we might very well encourage one of these people who have retired to actually come there and work for 2 or 3 days a week. But they won't come if they don't know, and the recruitment people are not going to know of them. So a broad thing put out on our website, or however you spread it out there.
Okay, great. Thank you for that idea. That's a great idea. Go ahead, Councilor Brandon.
Yeah, just wanted to make one comment on the doctors. Kim Mount Medical Center was able to recruit a new doctor. It was a long process and it was a foreign doctor, and the paperwork was astronomical. So I think that has to change.
Yeah, I agree with you, Councilor Franzen. I mean, it's a position that was educated in England, I believe,
Yeah.
and has had such a hard time getting so he could work here. I mean, it's been months and months and months and months of that people trying, and they finally done it. I mean, he's coming.
Yeah.
Dr. Leslie Pungranja is coming to Kinmount and excited about that. So.
And I understand the application fee was $10,000 that the community had to come up with just for the application.
Yeah, those are not incentives, are they? That's why it's difficult. I mean, people don't want to do a rural practice for many reasons, and we need to make that easier. So, and I think the provincial government's actually starting to support that idea that they need more rural physicians and nurse practitioners.
But that was through the city of Kawartha Lakes. And I do find that they're a lot more visible. I don't know what the county does. I'm on Facebook with Cindy Schneider, and she's at a conference this weekend, and she's posted how she's there representing the city of Kawartha Lakes, and she's always got dinners and conferences. I don't know what the county does to recruit. I called them one time and they said that we were part of their recruitment, but they weren't really confident in my mind that we were included in the recruitment process. So it would be nice if they're a little bit more accountable, maybe to council and what they're doing to recruit. Because I just find the city of Kawartha Lakes is a lot more vocal. We see a lot more social media of what they're doing. I don't see anything that the county people is doing for our areas. Thank you.
And through you, Mayor Lam said, Janet, that has just changed. They were using an outside organization to do physician recruitment at the county level, and they have ended that contract, and they now have an employee who has that responsibility. I believe she's affiliated with PCAD, the Economic Development Group. So I think there was acknowledgement that it was not very effective and was not necessarily representative of all the municipalities. So understanding that, they changed the model. It's very early days. The person is still trying to figure out the whole model of primary health care. But yes, and it's visible to county council members, much more visible and accountable to county council members. So Terry and I Mayor and I will represent Trent Lakes in that capacity.
Thank you.
You can call me Terry if you want. A little more informal here today.
Good morning. I'm Robin Johnson, and I represent Beaver, Cavendish, Bottle, and Guinness Lakes. We have about 140 members that I represent. We've had a problem for the last 10 years in the sense that we have one individual who has surpassed the bylaw notices in regards to noise complaints, where people have called police, they've called the enforcement, and when I put this topic forward, I was sent the form that says, you contact this, you contact that, and I have 40 people that signed a petition that they want something done about this individual. It's been going on, as I say, for the last 10 years. The August 1st long weekend, there is a party outside on his beach. It goes directly across the lake. I have a woman who told me that she sleeps with her windows closed and earplugs, and she can still hear the music going. This goes on until 4 a.m. in the morning. The police have been summoned 3 or 4 times. Every time, all he does is pay the fines if there is a fine. These people are fed up. And I'm afraid it's going to turn into a vigilante type situation. They're talking about using air horns, truck horns to, they're talking about even vandalism. So I had 20 emails that I had to answer, and people turned to me and said, what are you doing about it? Now, as an association president, there's really nothing I can do. As a municipality, though, I have to make you aware of what's going on so that you can do something about this. Now, I'm not putting it directly on you, but there has to be a solution to this problem before it gets to the point where something happens. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think part of our administrative monetary penalties thing is escalating fines. So that might make that a little more problematic. And once you get to the third and fourth stages of those fines, they're considerably larger amounts of money. So that may alleviate that a little bit. I hope that's part of it. I mean, bylaw and OPP are for sure good ways to call and try to get things like that stopped at 4 a.m. parties. Not as much fun unless you're at it. Also, did I say that? No, that's problematic. If you're trying to enjoy your property and there's someone having a big loud party till 4 a.m, that's not very nice.
But it's every year for 10 years and it's going to continue.
Yeah.
Sorry, I actually talked to the person who had the party. I ran into them. Mm-hmm. And they said that they were upset that the bylaw enforcer knocked on his door at 7 a.m. on the Sunday morning. And so based on that reasoning, he's going to have a party next year just because of it. So I don't know if there's some kind of mediation we can do, or request the police do some mediation with this person, because I tell you, it's getting out of control.
I can hear that in your voice. Actually, I think that's, so can you communicate with me after this meeting?
Yes.
We can have a little chat about that and see if there's something we can try to do.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead, John.
Sorry, through you, Mayor.
Little hand, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I know, little hand. Thanks very much, Robin. I sit on the Police Services Board as well. So there is something that I can bring to the detachment commander, and perhaps he and I and the board can come up with some sort of tactic, if you will, to deal with it. The unfortunate part is with policing and whatnot, and staffing shortages and whatnot, it may not see the priority. However, that doesn't preclude us from looking into it. So we can take that step, and once again, through the mayor, the AMPS program, once that gets rolling, and we will be seeing trouble property areas, and we'll be dealing with that. So
come to the Blue X.
Just in terms of follow-up of bylaw complaints, I've got different responses from that. Is there a possibility to get follow-up if you file a bylaw complaint, especially if there's numerous complaints?
So that's a very good question. I've never had that question yet. We'll see what we can do. I'm not sure we can do that for privacy reasons, but we can do it. Oh, yeah.
Totally different topic. My wife and I are very, very happy with the food cycler. We love it. Great. Yeah. Just curious as to what type of uptake there's been on it, if we have any stats on that, and whether it met expectations or went above and beyond or didn't quite meet it, but we love it.
Yeah, great. That's good. Good. That's a good one. I like that. I mean, I think it was very well received. I think you had the numbers on it.
Yeah, thank you, through you. I believe there were 150 units in the first round, and then I think another 150 in the second. And that second round included 75 of the original size and 75 that were double the size, because that was the main complaint, is they're just not big enough. And we have tracked how much, surveys have told us basically how much organic matter that actually disposes of. And the math has been done and it's tons. It's tons. I don't remember the numbers, but yes, it is being tracked. The stats are pretty impressive. But again, 300 units out of 6,000 households, we're barely making a dent. And, as Gary raised earlier, the real leapfrogging will happen once we have this new organics processing facility in Peterborough, so we can actually collect in mass and send it down there.
Great. And I think, Janet, you had something to say. Go ahead.
Yes, through you. The Airbnbs, I agree with the term, are extremely problematic. And in my opinion, one of the things that we can do to take some of the burden off the taxpayer is to increase the amount of money that they pay per bag when they go to the dump. I know a lady who actually cleans for some of these people on Kennedy Road. She was asked to dispose of 100 bags of garbage. Now, 100 bags of garbage going to the dump at $1 a bag makes no sense, when the actual cost of transporting this stuff is probably somewhere between 2 and 5, depending on what's in it. So that's a very easy thing to do, put that price up. And people will say, well, if we do this, people are going to throw them. That's what they said when they went to the 52 bags. That didn't happen. So you can always find a reason why not to do something. Maybe there's a good reason to do something.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Go ahead.
The recycler, I wanted to say, people from Kawartha Lakes, we could sell them. They're coming to me all the time wanting to buy my recyclers. So yeah, so great. And because I represent a lot of people who are not permanent, I did want to say about healthcare. It would be nice if we had something on the municipal website about any walk-in clinics, because I don't know of any here, and Buckhorn doesn't offer them, which is very sad. That is something when we look at our recruitment, if we can get positions there, no one has access to it unless you're a permanent resident. And we have a lot of people that get sick that are tourists. So I tend to send them to Bob Cajun, because I know of 2 that are there in the town already. So that's just really important to have some sort of health service for a non-permanent resident. So
thank you. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, through you, Mary. Yeah. Thanks, Janet, for that. I know myself, a couple of years ago, I was in Peterborough and I was looking for a clinic myself, and there was only one clinic. It was either go to that clinic, which was at the Superstore, or go to Emerge. So for Peterborough, to put it in perspective, Peterborough has one clinic with all the issues that are going on there. However, that being said, and to your question, Ashley, last week or a week and a half ago, Councillor Franzen and I were at the Eastern Ontario Municipal Conference, and we had the choice of each day of what presentation we would take in. And there was one presentation that I'm following up with Belleville. During COVID, dealing with the health issues, and that ties into your comments too, Janet. They ran a program, it was called VTAC, and I'm in the process of communicating with them. And what that was, essentially, if anybody had any issues, they could go on their laptop or whatever and speak with a doctor and have a meeting with the doctor, a doctor's appointment, so to speak. And if they were able to address what the issues were over that was fine. The next level would be, okay, stay in place. That VTAC will send a paramedic to go to the house and take any vitals and that sort of thing, and then send that back to VTAC, and then they would handle that through that. So I'm trying to get more details as far as how they rolled that out and how we would, as a council and a municipality, implement that. Seeing that we're losing our doctor and whatnot, and that's 750 patients that are going to be sort of looking for assistance. And I know that's in the interim, trying to find a doctor. If we can come up with some sort of a program as far as having it available to everybody at an instant, that would be helpful in my mind. So,
and there's also, the county has a community paramedics program that they're expanding a little bit, so you will be able to get a paramedic to come and see you at home a lot easier. And it's to make your recovery progress better. It makes, so you don't have to always go to emerge. That's a good question.
Yeah, I think the issue is even basic things like prescriptions, right? When one doctor retires to get into another doctor, sometimes you're waiting a year and a half.
Yeah, but that covers everything.
Yeah.
Like
so
they'll deal with everything. And I know Buckhorn Pharmacy, they have, because I lost my doctor as well. So I'm still looking for a family doctor. So they gave me, there was 2 numbers that you could call to get prescriptions renewed and whatnot, but one of the numbers wasn't working, so.
Wonderful.
But through you, with the incentives we give the health unit, I just don't see why they can't be approached at some time to maybe have a walk-in clinic.
And I think it's important that we get a list of walk-in clinics around, get it on our website. I don't think that's a hard thing to do. That's something that should be very easy to do. So try to make a note of that. We can get that on our website. I think that question's been asked a couple of times. Hey, Christine, come to the blue X, please.
Okay. I have 3 topics. Topic 1 is to do with the planning and building department, as we've all spoken numerous times. That's the number 1 topic that gets brought up by our members in the Crystal Lake area. And that is, I think we'll probably have a little bit more of a wholesome discussion on that, but we haven't really addressed that yet today. And it would be maybe difficult to summarize that, but I think that we should address the concerns that have been raised numerous times with the interface and communication with the planning and building. That's one. And the other is, I do notice that the committees haven't been reinstated. That's for EDAC and parks. And just would like to have a bit of a understanding as to why that has happened and what perhaps the future will be for that. And the other topic is East Clear Bay Road. The resurfacing, I mean, I would be, as I always say, I'd be remiss. And just wondering if we could get an update on that. In particular, this year has been probably one of the worst. And I think I say that every year, but this year the road has been atrocious. Unsafe, washboard, potholes, mud, dust, just really quite, it really needs to be addressed.
Thank you for bringing that up. I mean, we'll talk to Evan Grieger, our Director of Public Works, and get back to you on something.
Okay.
It should be in our asset management, or whatever you call that.
Yeah,
So it should be in there somewhere, but I think.
Well, it's been promised in the budget every year.
Yeah, thanks through you, Mayor. Christine, question number 2, the answer to that, we will be, as a council, addressing the EDAC and PRCAC, reconstituting them, and so that will be addressed early in 2024.
What was your other question?
Planning and development.
I think as we're evolving in our provincial government's regulations, it's been very difficult for everybody to keep up. Like the bills change and then they get modified, and there's more coming now. That the provincial planning statement is not really adopted yet. It's just getting close. It's still in draft form. So there's a whole bunch of changes in that might simplify some processes. And I think we need to look at our processes as well. Like we need to make sure that people are getting an easier time through our building and planning stage and get all the help that they need, because it's not an easy thing to navigate. We know that. So all our staff is here to help. So. Okay.
The Mayor, just like to add one thing is we are still waiting for the approval of the Peterborough County plan, which we tie into.
And that's true. And now that Peterborough County plan is going back to the provincial government, they're going to make modifications to it, and it will come back to county council in draft form. And then we can hopefully make changes that are suitable for Trent Lakes, and we can have our own changes that we need to do too as well. So it's not a real quick process. It's because of all the changes like Bill 23 and Bill 107 and everything come out, and it's just no one's official plan is really relevant, and we didn't want to adopt an official plan that's not relevant to the present bylaws and rules and regulations of the province. So it's going to take a little more time, but it's coming. It's already in the hands of whatever that group is called, so it's being looked at right now. So hopefully that's a sooner rather than later. That's CJ. Go ahead.
Yes, through you. In all of the conventions you go to, is there any talk ever of releasing some crown land? Because here they look at taking the Greenbelt, which is the only place we've really got in this province to grow root vegetables, and we're going to tear that all up. And we've got thousands and thousands of acres of crown land. And why some of that land is not released for building, and people say, well, it's too far away from the city. Well, look what they did with the old mines that are up by Sudbury. As soon as they cleared that land, whatever, they built and people moved there. So 100 miles is nothing anymore. So why the Crown doesn't need this land, or not as much of it. I can understand why they don't dump the whole thing, because it would throw away the real estate values. But to release this in hopes to take the pressure off.
Thank you. Thank you for that comment. I mean, I think twice a month I meet with our MPP, David Smith, and I'll bring that up at our next informal meeting. If we can take that back to Queen's Park.
And to build on Jan's comment, it has been done because where we
Yes.
live, it used to be Crown land,
Yeah,
so I'm not sure.
They very,
when it was
very
done,
selectively sell their crown land.
Yeah.
Very, very selectively. Thank you for that, bringing that up, Jen. Okay, anybody else have any questions or comments?
I have a comment on Janet's. I attended online a conference that they had two planners on, and they said there's no need to take the green belt and there's no need to build all this housing on farmland. There's 1 million acres in the GTA that could be developed. But there are alternate reasons for them to proceed in this route than just housing. And I believe apartments are much more needed than $1 million homes. If we care about our poor and our middle class, we will be building accommodations that they could actually afford.
There's some newer technologies for vertical farming that take up a lot less space, that produce more product per acre too, that are going to be explored. And there's a couple of companies looking in Trent Lakes right now for applications. So hopefully that's something we can get. I'm interested in some vertical farming. You can't plant a tree on a rock. We have lots of rocks. So. Okay, any other questions or comments? Go ahead.
Peter Raymond. I also like the organics. It's been really good. We've got a great digital sign out on the highway, very visible, helps communicate with people. And I wondered if council would consider having digital signs in other locations around the township to help communicate. It's always a challenge in our township, communicating to people.
Great.
Food for thought.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, John.
Through you, Mayor Peter, I know what you're saying. I love the digital signs as well. I found with the digital sign out here and the one in Buckhorn right outside the BCC, if you're driving by it, I would have to stop to see the next message. So it's all timing when you're driving by it. Whatever message. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that could be it.
I get told that a lot.
Yeah. So, but I do like the digital signing as well. However, there are some challenges to it, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And in proper locations where you are going a little slower, they're a great idea. That is intrusive. Thank you for that query. Yeah. Any other questions? I don't see any. We can't be done yet. Well, I guess we could be done. Go ahead.
Can I make one comment? That it's about healthcare. And one of the most unfortunate things is when they closed down the Minden Hospital. That was widely used by people in this area. It has a great impact on our municipality. And a board in Halliburton decided that it wasn't needed. And they didn't, I don't know if they thought about the people that are not in Halliburton County that use that facility, which would probably be as many people as in Halliburton County. And it puts huge stress on the hospital in Lindsay and the hospital in Peterborough. So I think it was unfortunate the government didn't step in.
Thank you, Peter, for that. I think we're all unanimous on that. We don't understand how that got through everywhere. It did. Okay, any other comments or questions? Go ahead.
With climate change, we're seeing a lot of extremes in the weather. We've had a lot of fire bans, there's been forest fires right across Canada and floods. If there was a major disaster in our township, we have under the fire department plans emergency situations, but if we had to evacuate people, we'd have a bit of a challenge, I suspect.
I do think
And
so.
I think we probably need to look at that a little bit more, considering the way the weather is going. And with respect to Crown Land giving it up, what about all the wildlife that's living there now? And that was a lot of the reasons why people moved in this area. So there's a
fine line.
Balance things out there.
There's a fine line between developing and still protecting our environment, which we all moved here for the environment. We don't want to destroy that. So, thank you, Peter. Okay, anyone?
This is just a quick question, and one that I've raised before, about procedure of council meetings and whether it's possible to post the motion that you're discussing at a particular time, so that when you're sitting back there by your screen, you can, okay, and get it in correctly, instead of maybe not quoting it correctly or whatever. So
Okay.
just wanted to remind.
Quite often, we do have the motion on our screen. If you look at the screen, it
Yeah.
scrolls to the motion, but I'm not going to point at Bianca, but she's pretty good at keeping that.
I absolutely.
When we advance the stream, but no, but,
I'm gonna come here on Tuesday, so maybe I'll see that.
okay, perfect. Thank you. I'll lend you my glasses if I need to. Thank you. Go ahead, Gary.
Maybe just building on Marla's comment, a lot of municipalities are going to recorded votes on every motion in council meetings. Is there any reason why we're not doing it here in Trent Lakes?
I don't think there's a reason. I just don't think there's a need to most of the time. It's written down later what, if the motion was carried or not. I mean, it's anything that's a little controversial. Usually one member of council will ask for a recorded vote, so it's tracked that way for most controversial things. So just the everyday motions that we make usually don't need to do that. Thank you.
Sorry, through you, Mayor. Peter, your comment about the climate change and the forest fires and whatnot, from my sources and my background and whatnot, 85% of it is man or person created, whether it be through negligence or criminality. So it's important. I mean, we're so vast here, and trying to keep the brush that's died and cleared away, I mean, it's almost impossible. So if you have 85% chance of somebody starting that fire, I mean, that's something that I know the police are obviously aware of and trying to do as best they can.
Thank you, Helen. Okay, any other questions or? Go ahead.
I just want to say on behalf of my association, thank you. We find that you're very approachable and to staff too, and you respond very quickly. And I think your terms are going very well, and things are moving along. And thank you very much.
Thank you for that.
Fish and Lake Association.
Yes, go ahead.
How much do we receive annually for the truckloads and truckloads and truckloads of stone out of this area?
Thank you for that question. We do not receive a lot. I don't know the exact number, but I think it was like in the neighborhood of $22,000, which is not even 1 foot of a road being replaced.
That's what it was 10 or 15 years ago when I checked it.
Yeah, no, we've doubled it. We've actually, through a whole bunch of delegations of the 444 municipalities of Trent Lakes have done, they doubled our mill rate from 6 cents per ton to 12 cents per ton. So we get a little bit more, but it's nowhere near what it should be, and we all know that.
It's an embarrassment.
Unfortunately, the province gets the bulk of that, so they get a lot more than we do, and they should be sharing more for the municipalities that are being tore up and their stuff being hauled and ruining roads and putting dust in our air. I mean, there's no cumulative studies done on dust and how much it does affect people. So those are things that we need to be looking into. Thank you for your question. Okay, anyone else want to speak to that? Or, okay. Any other comments? I'm seeing none. Okay, well, thank you everyone for coming, and thank you very much to our staff that attended today. We do appreciate everything they do for us, because they make us look good. We're not that pretty, but we certainly, well, I'm not. The rest of them I can't speak. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending today. And we'll just move on to item 6 of our agenda, which is the adoption of the confirming bylaw. See Deputy Mayor Armstrong, Councilor Franzen, all in favor. Motion is carried. And we can move on to item 7 of our agenda, which is adjournment. I need a motion to adjourn. Deputy Mayor Armstrong, Councilor Cadigan, all in favor. That motion is carried. Did you get any of that, Debbie? Okay. I'll write it down. That doesn't really. Sure.